out, she wouldn't have had anything to piss and moan about.
Local presentation of Read About It is made possible in part by a grant from Cox Communications of Oklahoma City, proud sponsor of this effort to promote reading, education, and literacy in our community. The following public service program is brought to you by the Metropolitan Library System. And now, Read About It with your host, B.J. Williams.
Thanks for joining us today. We have a wonderful show for you, including a talk with Glenda Carlile, who is Executive Director of the Oklahoma Center for the Book. But first, coming up, Susie Beasley will be talking with Joyce McCauley Johnson about a book I think you'll enjoy.
Joyce, tell us a little bit about Anita Bunkley's Mirrored Life.
It starts out about Sarah Jane Talbot.
Mm-hmm.
She lost her mother at age 7, and she lives with her father. And he's very abusive to Sarah Jane, and he's an alcoholic.
Right.
And she has 2 girlfriends, Joyce Ann and what's that other girl's name? Precious.
Precious, right.
And they treat her real special. So she does pretty much what her girlfriends asked her to do.
Right.
Well, one day they were out joyriding, and they talk her into robbing a Dairy Queen.
Right. And she is caught.
Yeah. Sarah Jane goes to prison and serves 5 years in prison. And while she's in prison, she gets her degree in cosmetology. And when she gets out of the prison, then she goes to work for an upscale
Beauty salon.
Beauty salon. And she meets this R&B singer, and this lady asked her to go to work for her as her beautician.
And her beautician, this person that she goes to work for, has no idea of her past.
They don't know about Sarah Jane's background.
Right.
So she changes her name to Serena St. James.
Right.
And they know her as Serena.
Right. They don't know anything about the other.
They don't know anything about Sarah Jane.
So this sets up the whole storyline of the Mirrored Life, because she's with someone else. He changed her name. She looks like she's going on to great things, even after coming through the School of Hard Knocks.
That's right.
And so what drew you to the story? What made you want to pick up Anita Bunkley's book?
The writing again. I mean, you know, her writing is so exciting. You know, it keeps you...
You turning the page.
Wanting to know what's really going to happen.
And the characters are well developed.
And the characters are very interesting.
And also, a lot of times, like with Anita Bunkley, she's written other books, and she builds on the characters.
That's right.
So, But another thing about the book, A Mirrored Life, is that there are good things in it, and there are not so good things in it.
That's right.
Yeah.
People get killed, and
Right. It's tragedy.
Her friend Joyce Ann is the cause of all of these people getting killed, because she's trying to get back at Sarah Jane.
Well, we really appreciate you coming and sharing with us Anita Bunkley's Mirrored Life. This is available at your local bookstore and your local library. We'll see you next time.
It is wet, and the sun is not sunny.
Hi, my name is Jose Jimenez of your Metropolitan Library Commission. You know, most experts tell us that if you just spend 20 minutes a day reading to your child, you're not only building a bond that lasts a lifetime, but you're also preparing that child to learn how to read. Check with the experts at your Metropolitan Library for suggestions on just the right books for you and your family. And visit us at our website at www.metrolibrary.org.
A couple of weeks ago, I had a chance to talk with local attorney John Brewer about some of the books he has enjoyed recently. I think you'll enjoy what he had to say. John, what have you brought for us today?
Well, I'm here to tell you about a very humorous book, A Walk in the Woods by Bill Bryson.
How can a walk in the woods be humorous, John?
Bill Bryson is a very experienced writer, lived for many years in England, moved back to New England a few years back, and he and his friend, a fellow by the name of Stephen Katz, who he had grown up with in Iowa, they decided to walk the Appalachian Trail. And the Appalachian Trail apparently stretches from northern Georgia to northern Maine, about 2,200 miles.
Did they walk the entire 2,200 miles?
Actually, they walked in sequence during a period of months, and they walked about 800 to 900 miles of the trail, at various portions of the trail. And his experiences that he relates along the way are absolutely hysterical. It's one of those books that you'll find yourself laughing out loud as you read the book.
Well, I think that's the kind of book a lot of us need this year to get away from things a little bit. Now, were these experiences that made you laugh, were they with the people that he met along the trail, or just things that happened to him while he was on the trail?
Both. Some of the experiences were when they would leave the trail and go into town to like replenish their supplies or spend the night or to eat at a regular restaurant, because normally they would just sleep in shelters along the trail. And the trail is pretty remote, but there are a lot of characters along the trail that you bump into that he describes very vividly. I feel sure some of it is embellished, but it's very, very funny. And some of the tricks that they pulled on some of the other people along the trail who they didn't like.
They met people they didn't like.
Oh, there were some strange people you meet along the way, and also his fear of bears. He was always afraid that he was going to bump into this big bear, that was going to eat him up, but it never really happened.
Well, now, are there bears along the Appalachian Trail, or is that just totally out of his mind?
In some areas, there are still some wild bears that live along the trail. The black bear, I think. But his friend, this fellow with him from Iowa by the name of Stephen Katz, is absolutely, he's a character himself, And Bryson has a gift for describing things in a humorous manner.
Okay. And the title of the book again?
A Walk in the Woods.
And you can find that at your library?
You certainly can, and it's worth reading.
Thanks. Coming up next is Kids Corner. We have Kelly Rhea, who works in outreach and does programming for the library system. She'll be talking with Rosemary Zarski, who is manager of the Choctaw Library and a real expert in books for our young people. I think you'll enjoy and appreciate what Rosemary has to say.
Hello, we have a fabulous book today. It's called Flame, and it's by Hilary Bell. And tell me about this book.
Well, it's the first of a series. I don't know how many books are going to be in it. And it's the story of Soraya, who is a spoiled little rich girl who really hates it that she can't do what she wants to do when she wants to do it because of the caste system and the restrictions on women in the ruling class.
So this isn't set in present day time?
No, this is not. It's set in a medieval type society, but it's also a whole nother world. And basically we were seeing how a ancient Persian tale can come to light in another setting. And it's interesting to watch the interplay between them. But Soraya is doomed to be executed as a sacrifice, and her father, the commander of the army, saves her by saying, well, the gods would prefer that we expose her to the land and let her survive that way. Of course, he's made sure she's going to survive. And so this is a story of her coming to age, to accept the idea of you have responsibilities that go along with the prerogatives. Her half-brother Gian is the commander's aide, and he has to learn that you don't always have to do things the way it was done in the past. And then a third player is Kevi, who's a peddler, you know, the old-fashioned peddler types. And he has a real bad hate for the upper class. And around these three, the war is played.
Oh, how exciting.
Yeah, I found it very interesting. And it's exciting to see the way none of these characters are good or evil in and of themselves. They got a little bit of both.
That makes for a really exciting read, though. And this is appropriate for what age?
It's appropriate for junior high or high school kids. I think they would really get into this. Might recognize themselves, but they get into this.
Oh, wow, it sounds really good. Well, we think that you'll like this, Flame by Hilary Bell, and Hilary Bell has other books too.
She's written A Matter of Prophet and Songs of Power, and she's working on a second book in this series. So.
Excellent. So you can find Flame by Hilary Bell at your local bookstore or at your favorite library.
Thanks, Rosemary and Kelly. Coming up next, we'll be talking about CDs. Did you know that you can check out CDs at your library? Well, you certainly can. And Doug Benton, who's with marketing at the Metropolitan Library System, and Jim Nimmo, who works at the Downtown Library, are going to tell you about one of the CDs you can check out.
Jim, thanks for being with us today.
Well, thank you for asking me.
Yeah, you wanted to talk about a subject that, a type of music that I enjoy, but I don't know very much about, technically.
Well, we're going to talk about opera today. We've covered some of the other instrumental versions of classical music, and now we're going to have the singing voice. Most people enjoy good singing. Bad singing tends to turn people off, whether it's classical or country western, whatever your favorite is. And I've thought of a comparison. Well, what is opera about? Well, most of the operas that we're going to be discussing today are about consumptive milkmaid virgins and lonely tenors who are pining after these milkmaid virgins. They're very simple plots usually, and it has a lot of convoluted action, but they're very simple. Usually the lonely tenor is pining after the lonely soprano, and usually at the end they get together and are happily married forever after.
Sounds pretty simple, boy meets girl formula there.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if people are afraid that operas are complicated, at least at the plot level, many of them are not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And there are often compilation CDs available, which just contain the hit tunes from a single opera or the hit tunes from several operas all on one CD. And that's usually a very good way to introduce somebody to opera, because it contains the hit tunes, like I say, very melodious, something that you, after a couple of listenings, you'll go away humming in your own head, in your own shower, while you're fixing your own dinner in the kitchen. And
you won't even realize that many of these things are their music you've heard in the background of commercials.
Exactly.
And in films.
Cartoons from the early
the
60s,
yeah, if it weren't for cartoons, I wouldn't have much of a classical music background.
Well,
I mean,
that's what attracted me to classical music, was this very easy introduction to the hit tunes.
The CD you brought is a collection of arias sung by Renee Fleming.
Yes, she's an American soprano who is quite on top of things right now. She got her beginnings in college. She worked her way through college by being a jazz singer. So she doesn't live in an ivory tower. Right now, she's on top of the world. She's singing anywhere she wants, almost anything she wants. She has a very full voice. It has lots of body to it. I mean that vocally, not physically. And she's very attractive looking. Another thing of the last 20 years is that opera singers are becoming more photogenic. They're not the buxom, large people.
Let me stop. Let's let the folks listen to Renee Fleming.
Okay.
And thank you very much for coming in.
You're very welcome.
Thanks, Jim and Doug. Coming up next, we have M.J. Van de Venner, who is the editor of Persimmon Hill and director of publicity for the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum. She will be talking with Linda Hanneborg, who is vice president of Express Personnel, and I think you'll enjoy what they have to say about a really neat book.
Glenda, thank you so much for being here.
Great to be here.
It's your first time on Read About It, and we hope you'll come back.
Well, I would hope I could too.
Yes. You're reading a fabulous book. I bought it last night and just skimmed it. It's really an interesting premise, The Traveler's Gift. It's nothing like what I thought the title was going to be like, but it's definitely a motivational self-help book and something I would recommend to everyone. I'm sure you would too.
I would indeed. It's called The Traveler's Gift by Andy Andrews, and we think of Andy Andrews as a comedian, and he's a very talented fellow, but this is an unusual approach to personal satisfaction and really some lessons that one can learn easily through storytelling.
Well, the main character is really down on his luck, we might say. I mean, he's at the top and then he crashes to the bottom, basically through no fault of his own, just things that happen in life. And you take it from there about what happens to him.
Well, he crosses a bridge, and at that point you don't know what happens to him, and you are immediately in the next chapter taken into a situation by the great writing of this author. You feel and know where you are before it's even described, and you are with Harry Truman at the point where he has to make the decision on whether or not to drop the bomb. And the lesson there, of course, is the buck stops here. He was the only one that could and should make that decision. So our traveler, David, goes on and meets many other famous people from different parts of life and gains a great gift from each of them. And the end result is he ends up with 7 major critical decision-making factors in one's life that can make a huge difference.
And let's talk about those.
Would you like me to read those, what they end up being? Well, as I said, each is told by a story, such famous people as Anne Frank, Christopher Columbus, whomever. But obviously the first one is, the buck stops here. I'm responsible for my past and my future. Number 2, I will seek wisdom. I will be a servant to others. Can you imagine that came from Solomon? Number 3, I'm a person of action. I seize this moment. I choose now. Number 4, I have a decided heart. My destiny is assured. Number 5, and this is the one that I really liked. Today I will choose to be happy. I am the possessor of a grateful spirit. And we are told at this point you should laugh out loud when you get up in the morning. It's a little silly to begin with, but it immediately releases endorphins and you feel
real
great.
Quickly, 6 and 7.
I will greet this day with a forgiving spirit, and I will persist without exception.
What great lessons for life. Thank you so much for reading this book and for sharing it with us on Read About It.
Thank you.
Thanks, Linda and MJ. With me now is Glenda Carlile. She is the Executive Director of the Oklahoma Center for the Book and an author here in Oklahoma. But she's here to tell us about the Oklahoma Book Awards, which will happen next spring, but actually people who've written books need to get in touch with you now, don't they, Glenda?
That's true. Seems like it was only last week that we were talking about this last year.
Right.
The year has gone so fast. But yes, we're already taking entries for books that were written in 2004 for the 2005 Book Awards.
Now, the Oklahoma Center for the Book, for people who haven't been watching Read About It regularly, is actually based in the Oklahoma Department of Libraries, isn't it?
Right, we're located in the Department of Libraries, and we're an outreach center for the National Center for the Book through the Library of Congress.
And it actually what you try to do all year long is promote reading and writing, really, here in Oklahoma.
Reading and writing and Oklahoma authors and the literary heritage in Oklahoma.
But the big thing that you do is the Oklahoma Book Awards, which happens every March.
Every March.
And that's a pretty big thing, isn't it?
It is. It really takes all year long to be working on it. We're starting now to take entries. We'll be taking entries up until the first week in January. Then the judges will be at work through January and February. The finalists will be notified in February, and then the winner will be announced at the Book Award banquet on March the 13th.
Now, last year you had something over 100 entries, didn't you?
We usually always get about 100. I think last year we had 130. It was really good books. The judges are just more and more impressed with the books that we receive.
Now, there are certain requirements before you can actually enter a book in the Oklahoma Book Awards, aren't there?
Right. The book has to either be about Oklahoma or written by an Oklahoma author. And by Oklahoma author, we mean someone who was born here or has lived here or is living here now, but some connection that they have lived here for a time.
And we have a number of categories as well?
We have 5 categories. We have fiction, nonfiction, poetry, children, young adult, and design illustration.
Now, they need to contact you. There is an entry form, and there are a few other requirements. I think you asked for 6 copies of the book and that sort of thing. But they need to get in touch with you to find out more about that, don't they?
Right. They need to get in touch with me through the Department of Libraries, and I will send them an entry form, and they need to send 6 books. We have 5 judges for each category, and then the 6th book goes to the Oklahoma room in the Department of Libraries. And an author can send them in, a publisher. If it's a friend that's sending them in, we still need to get the author's signature. We had someone one time that wanted to surprise the author, but that doesn't work very well.
Well, especially if they become a finalist, because we do encourage all the finalists to attend the Oklahoma Book Awards in March. And so it's a little bit hard to say, oh, just come on down to the Petroleum Club next Saturday.
Right. And the finalists usually try to come. They really enjoy the book award evening. It's a time that they can sell books and visit with people, and also a time that the authors get to visit with each other.
Well, I know from the point of view of someone who just reads books, it's kind of neat to be able to spend that time prior to the banquet actually chatting with a number of the authors and looking at their books. That's really maybe not the highlight of the evening, but it's certainly a really fun part of it.
It is. And we've usually had I think around 30 authors that come to it.
So that's one of the things that people need to do, circle their calendar for March 13th next year. They will need to make reservations in advance. Again, they can get in touch with you at the Oklahoma Department of Libraries if they are interested in attending the banquet.
Right. And our call for entries just went out about 10 days ago, and I've already received 3 books, 3 entries actually.
So that's really one of the things you're going to spend most of your time for the next several months doing, is receiving the books and getting them out to the judges so the judges can start reading. If you're a nonfiction judge, you often have quite a few books to read, don't you?
They usually average somewhere around 50 to 60 books for the nonfiction. And then usually the fiction is about 30 books, so it's a job for the judges.
Yes, it is. And actually, even if your book comes out on December the 31st of 2004, you've still got a week to get the books in to you, because the deadline is the first week in January.
Right.
But it does need to be published this year.
It needs to be published in 2004.
And just to briefly mention to people who are not necessarily writers, but who might want to attend, that C.J. Sherry, the well-known science fiction writer, is going to be honored at next year's Oklahoma Book Awards.
She will be the Lifetime Achievement Award winner, and has already said she will be there. And that's the Errol Gibson Award. And then we also have an Ellison Award, which is given to for the works of a deceased Oklahoma author, and that will be Woody Guthrie.
So it will be a great literary evening. It is, I guess we haven't stressed that it is open to the public. There is a fee because we do serve a meal. It's at the Petroleum Club, but there will be more information about that forthcoming, but people might be thinking about that if they would like to see and meet C.J. Sherry and meet some of these other well-known and highly talented Oklahoma authors. This is one of the things that they need to circle on their calendars.
Right, and they can get in touch with me and be put on the mailing list to make sure they get an invitation. The other thing that right now we're beginning to take memberships for the Center for the Book. We do have memberships.
For the Friends of the Center.
For the Friends of the Center for the Book, I'm sorry. Yes, it is the Friends. And the memberships will give them a $10 deduction for the meal ticket, and also information about coming events.
And the knowledge that they are supporting. One of the things that really does promote Oklahoma authors, which I think anybody in Oklahoma ought to be proud of the fact that we have so many well-known writers living here in the state and producing award-winning works.
I've been told, and I don't have the actual proof of this, but I've been told many times that Oklahoma has the most writers per capita than any state.
Well, I can almost believe it. It seems like every time I turn around, I'm meeting a new Oklahoma writer. And certainly, I thought about that before I decided to do a weekly show. Anyway, I want to thank you very much, Glenda, for being with us and telling us about the Oklahoma Book Awards.
Thank you, BJ.
You can contact the Oklahoma Center for the Book at 405-522-3575 or email Glenda at gcarlile@oltn.odl.state.ok.us, and she'll give you all the information you need about the Oklahoma Book Awards.
Hi, I'm Donna Morris, Executive Director of your Metropolitan Library System. You know, experts tell us it's never too early to begin reading to a child. If you spend just 20 minutes a day reading to a child, you're not only building a bond that lasts a lifetime, but you're helping that child to prepare to learn how to read. Visit us at the Metropolitan Library System and let us help you select just the right books for you and your family. And be sure and visit our website at www.metrolibrary.org.
Doug, I'll bet you've got some dates for us.
I have a couple of author birthdays this week. August 22nd is the birthday of Ray Bradbury, who was born in 1920. Still with us after having suffered a stroke a few years ago, but he's still writing this occasional short story, I think.
Well, and his work holds up, so even today.
Right, yeah, everything's still in print, I think. I don't think anything's gone out of print. And August 26th is the birthday in 1884 of a writer that you may not have heard of. His name is Earl Durr Biggers. Biggers.
Never heard of him.
You know his character. He created Charlie Chan in the 1920s and wrote, I think, maybe 6 or 7 Charlie Chan novels. And for a while, Charlie Chan was everywhere. He was on the comic strips, he was in the movies, he was on radio. I mean, he was the Chinese Hawaiian detective that some people may or may not remember at this late date. But anyway, he came around 120 years ago.
That sounds good. And we need to remind everybody the new Ronald J. Norick Downtown Library is open.
Open. We got it done.
So you can come down. It's open till 9 o'clock Monday through Thursday, so you can come on down and check us out. And remember, you can check everything out on the web at www.metrolibrary.org. We want to thank you for being with us. We'll see you again next time.